Hello, audience. I'm here today to talk about Parliament of Owls. This is a new play that is replacing The Current Inheritance by David Mulwa. This is a very interesting book, by the way, and in case you fear it because of the title, be invited in this discussion, and you realize that it is the simplest book ever if you chose to have an optional text away from a silent song and an artist of the floating world. Um, I was interested first to know who the writer is, because at first there was another book, Parliament of Owls, but it's a kind of novel by an American writer. I had already read it and realized that it was about conserving the environment, and it had some depth. And therefore, at first, I thought that is the book we are going to focus on. And I was really wondering why the two novels, An Artist of the Floating World and Parliament of Owls. But later on, I came to realize that the school edition for Kenyan, it's a play. Now, the writer, Adipo Sidang. Adipo Sidang is a Kenyan award winning poet, and he's written plays too. He's a young adult novella with a novel known as A Boy Named Coco, which won the BAT Award in 2017. It was shortlisted for the BAT Award for African Young Adult Literature. For those who have done adult literature, young adult literature, you understand what I mean. And Sidang is quite passionate about art, its policy and governance setting. He has previously taught philosophy in the Kenyan universities, and therefore he's somebody approachable. You can access him if you want, because he's around us. And maybe if he's willing to talk about the book, and like I have an experience with some writers, when you meet them and ask them about their books, then they'll tell you it is you I wrote for. Possibly I feel, or I am optimistic that Sidang would be somebody who would share, because poets most times sometimes talk about what they did. Now, Parliament of Owls was first published as a collection of poems, that is in 2016, by Native Intelligence under Contact Zones Nairobi series. That was a journey by Sidang. Later on, it became a play when he made these poems a collection that became a play. Now, about Parliament of Owls, this is a sort of poetry work, and if you read through, of course, you realize that the characters talk in a poetic way. Now, I like this book because it just comes as remember the book Animal Farm? It used to be a very interesting book because it gave some blunt honesty and a unique literary style, whereby you have animals talking about the social and political ills in the society. And it's a unique literary style because, you see, like when we use animals to represent human beings and explore matters of love, matters of politics, we have aspects of death, betrayal. Then we have a deep existentialist tone that is applied here. For those who did existentialist theory, you understand what I mean here. Now, within the high school context, we don't have really to go through such theories, but we just have to understand that as you read this book, you have to understand that animals are representing us, the human beings within the society. Now, what is the relevance of the title Parliament of Owls? Now, when we look at Parliament, of course, we understand what it is in our situation. That is where the elites, particularly the executive elites who are leading us, are supposed to be set. Now, what about owls? Look at the owls. They are animals who only survive during darkness, and most of us associate these animals with fate. You know, you wouldn't be happy to see an owl on your way when you're traveling to some place, or even if you heard it hooting at night, what would you think about? Maybe you can share answers when you subscribe to this, and when you make comments and react to whatever I'm going to share here. And you're free to also come up with your own interpretation of what this title means. I like a sharing of ideas, you know. I'm not really a source of information in all this, but I'm just trying to share what I believe about Parliament of Alls. Now, in my view, the title Parliament of Alls focuses on the government in place, and within this book, don't misquote me, it is generally dominated by alls, and the title is a satirical one because it's showing how greed and hypocritical nature of alls make them, come up with the rules and sometimes even break the same rules. But they are quite oppressive on other animals, especially the day birds. Now, the title is also key in moving the plot because everyone would want to know actually what is the fate of Parliament of Alls as they behave in such a manner as the leaders in this nation where they say they are the ones given leadership by God. Now, I also found that thematically, this title represents aspects of greed, hypocrisy, betrayal, and so many other themes that you would find in the text as you read and as you relate with the animals within the kingdom of Parliament of Owls. Now, when you look at Act 1, for example, we have very many episodes, the first being the kingdom. Now, the act starts off at sunset. A flute is heard, and an owl hoots, and other birds twitter. Yeah, you can understand now the difference here of the owls and other birds. There is a cacophony in the sounds because you can imagine one twittering, another hooting. Then this contrast brings us to the birds twittering louder than before as the flute plays, and Osogo comes up perched on the stone. He plays a flute with a melancholic tune, only to be disturbed by Red String. Red String is another character in this play, and Red String, it's quite humorous that he's wearing a hollow eyeglasses, whatever that means, made of millet stalk. Yeah. Now, Osogo and Red String converse, focusing on Oyunde's current situation. Red String believes that it is only the owl that should break rules and not any other bird. Yeah? He too shares the limitations that are obvious in life. And that is why, for example, Falcon goes high while Osogo cannot, Yeah. Now, apart from this episode of the kingdom, we have Osogo on the mission. What is the mission of Osogo? Osogo says there is a time when all birds will have a sane parliament. Yeah. So currently, possibly there is an insane parliament. We may see later in the text. Now, yet Red String brushes it off because for him, that will be many generations from now. And in fact, that can never happen because the night birds, the omnivores, are the only ones with the largest eyes, unlike the day birds and the grain eaters who have who cannot attack rogue animals like snakes, lions, mongoose, hyenas. Osogo reminds him about the evils, that happens in this kingdom. That those rogue animals he's mentioning are normally invited during night feast at the royal tree. Remember, the owls are the royals, so they invite these animals, the snakes and mongoose and what have you. And why do you think possibly they invite them? And would you agree with what Osogo says here? If you were to possibly look into the text. Now, he says that Python, for example, is invited, and most times is used to punish the enemies of the owls. Now we go to the third episode of Telltale's challenge to the Red String. Telltale appears on stage and asks what Red String is doing when it's not dusk yet. Remember the rules? Yeah, Osogo replies that he must have come to give him a lecture about dinosaurs and the safety of kingdom. Red String confirms that as the king's advisor, he is allowed to make technical appearance anywhere. Osogo exits, leaving Telltale and Redstring. Redstring informs Telltale that the new rules demand that daybirds now, they should not move just after 6 p.m. Not like the former time, it used to be 10 p.m. Yeah, this reminds me of the corona time and what time we had to avoid moving around and what time we had to be in the house and all that. Yeah, he also tells they will pay moonlight. There is something known as moonlight tax. Yeah, and the Alls will be supervising, and the and making roll calls of whatever is there to protect the kingdom. That is what he says. But we may have another feeling, or later on we may realize the actual reason why they do this. Telltale wonders whether they are a parliament. The parliament has turned into a church, so that a church and the collections here. Redstring satirically says that they have Pastor All to take care of the spiritual interests of the royal All, and the falcon could deliver tithe to God whenever he visits the skies. Telltale is surprised surprised that the new moonlight tax rules come just when the new moon has appeared, and she critiques Parliament for extorting people feeling insecure and planning to set traps on daybirds. Now, what we later see is that possibly they are planning for a massacre, what he calls the Weaver Massacre. You understand what a massacre means? She feels that they are setting a trap for the daybirds so that they may arrest them. Now, Redstring accepts that the bill was sponsored by Moneybags, and so Telltale also thinks that maybe the birds should change so that it will keep them safe. Telltale informs Redstring of the new coalition involving the guinea fowl, parrot, crested crane, ostrich, sparrow, and the weaver, and that it aims to save the kingdom. Telltale insists that after the betrayal she had been involved in earlier from Redstring, she cannot spread such information to the other daybirds, because obviously they consider her hypocritical. Now, Redstring is not even sorry that they were pursuing Oyundi. They wanted to kill him, and in the process they killed 3 weavers. Now he rejects the mockery that Telltale offers, and reminds that Oyundi is quite cunning and great than them. That Alls can never have peace in his presence. Telltale keeps reminding him that the murder of weavers that had happened earlier, to which Redstring claims she put will put her in prison. Telltale reminds Redstring that the daybirds and the grain eaters are rehearsing freedom songs, and maybe soon something will happen. We get to the next episode, Arum Tidi, for Moonlight Bill propaganda. Arum Tidi comes just when Telltale is almost leaving, and when asked to sing a song that claims he only blows a trumpet. Yeah, Telltale is annoyed at this. Yeah, this is some sort of arrogance, so Telltale leaves. Now, Redstring reminds Telltale that as she is leaving, she must spread the information they discussed earlier, or else she will be announced as a traitor, and therefore she will face treason. This is a kind of blackmail that should make her go and make them pay moonlight tax, and accept the 6 p.m. rule as compared to the 10 p.m. and that monitoring of their cages and all that. Now, when we go further in the play, we see that Telltale wants to reject this offer and is not willing to receive any pay. Arumtidi laughs, kind of mocking the Telltale. Now, Red String is told to load his beak with a lot of news because that is what he's known for. Arumtidi tells Red String not to trust Telltale as a small bird because obviously she messed the previous time, she may still mess. Now, instead of working towards what they're agreeing, we see that he talks about introduction of sound pollution law that should hinder Telltale from hammering the trees. Now that this is what Arumtidi is trying to weave. He's a weaver of propaganda. So he wants to introduce something to do with a law, sound pollution law, that would hinder TD from hammering the trees. Now, Red String says that many birds normally listen to Telltale because of that ability, and that they should promise. Arumtidi, promises to work on what Telltale has just rejected. He's going to work on that propaganda on Moonlight Bill. Red String assures him that they are fighting enemies, and Arumtidi starts spreading the information immediately. You see, Arumtidi and the kind of bird he is. Now, I want you to look at the society wherever you are. Do we have characters such as Telltale, those that are used sometimes and dumped? Like the previous time he was used to spread some rumor among the day birds. Now she did it and it made her lose her face because the truth was known by other birds. We have Arumtidi. Arumtidi who thinks that he belongs to the night birds because he's given promises. And here he is accepting what Telltale has just rejected quickly. And he's there to spread a rumor even about what he has not received many details about. Then we have Red String, who knows that is the right hand in the Parliament of Owls and is ready to be used in laying propaganda and making others work. And then look at the aspect of moonlight tax, for example. How does it apply to our situation in our country or elsewhere? Also look at this sound pollution law that has to be implemented, and all those blackmails that happen when this can do this, then they'll do this. So within this chapter, you will find a lot of thematic concerns, which we'll talk about any other time. And these are themes like power, and I think you've seen that through Red String. You've seen that among the owls, and you've seen what the struggles Arumtidi has. Possibly it's because of interest in power. Now we have suppression and limitation of freedom and rights. Those laws, the moonlight law, the sound pollution law, and any other would be just a suppression of these birds. If, for example, considering what happened during the corona time, though I'm not saying this is an analogy of what the book is about, but now when you look at this situation whereby you have restriction of moments of when to do something and maybe when to sleep, when to wake up, when to move, it creates a lot of economic, social, and political matters within our situation. Now we have a theme of blackmail and intimidation. Look at page 10, you'll find evidence on that. We have betrayal that happens by what Telltale reveals. When we learn about Osogo or Yundi, we have the owls themselves, and the threats that Red String offers to Telltale. Then Arumtidi is just a day but betraying others. That as revealed on page 16. Now we have selfishness and greed also in this chapter. The reason why blackmail comes, betrayal, the suppression, and even power is out of selfishness, that greed to maintain power, to gain something over other animals, and all that. It's out of selfishness that makes these birds do what they do or choose what they choose to do. Now, you can also see insecurity, because if these birds think that the Parliament of Owls normally invites these malicious animals like snakes, mongoose, and what have you, and they use them to attack the enemies, then that is insecurity. And even the possibility of them now beginning to count eggs and maybe what will happen. Page 6 reveals a lot of insecurity among the birds. Then we have cruelty and brutality, because now, like the time 3 birds were killed when they were pursuing Oyundi, then Osogo also reveals that there are killings which may continue in the kingdom, page 3. Then Telltale also shares that these laws may possibly be there so that the owls may be taking the other birds' eggs, like page 6. We have some sort of corruption that happens through propaganda. Arumtidi is willing to hold a propaganda, and because he's promised that he will be receiving, he'll be going to eat rats at the royal hall, at the royal trees. So he pretends that there is a revelation from God, and the river, as revealed on page 18 and 19, but the reality is that what is happening here is corruption. So we'll talk more about these themes, the characters, and the styles. Bye bye. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can be getting any information that we share about these books, because the current literature is quite interesting in both Kiswahili and English, and it really makes us close to what we have to cover in class and even in our own times. Literature is live. It reflects the society, it warns us, it advises us. Thank you for not listening, and make any comments. You are free to share the video, and also to give your own perspective of what Parliament of Owls Act 1, Scene 1 is all about. Thank you.